Emma stands at her front door, keys shaking in her hand. Her cheeks are red, and she won't look me in the eyes. She clears her throat and says something that makes my heart stop beating. "You can come in through the front door or the back door. Your choice." I pause. My mouth feels dry. The way she said it, the way her voice got quiet at the end, makes me think she means something else, something that makes my stomach flip. I take a deep breath and look at her pretty face. "Actually," I say, trying to sound normal, "I prefer going through the basement." Her eyes go wide. Her mouth opens like she wants to say something, but no words come out. The keys fall from her hand and hit the ground with a loud crash. She stares at me like I just told her I can fly. "What?" she whispers. The silence between us feels heavy. A bird sings somewhere nearby. Cars drive past on the street behind me, but all I can hear is my heart beating fast in my chest. Emma's face turns even more red than before. I realize how that sounded, how what I just said might have made her think things that aren't true. My own face gets hot now. I need to explain myself before this gets worse, before she thinks I'm some kind of weird guy. "Let me explain how we got here," I say quickly. "But first let me tell you something. 3 weeks ago, I didn't even know Emma existed. I was just a guy who fixes houses for people. I carry tools, I paint walls, I fix broken things. It's simple work that I love doing. Then Mrs. Chen from down the street called me. She said her friend Emma just bought the old blue house on Maple Street. The house needed lots of work. The kind of work that takes time. The kind that means I'd be there every day. When I first saw Emma, she was wearing old jeans and a white shirt with paint on it. Her hair was tied back in a messy way. She had dirt on her nose from working in her garden. She looked beautiful. She showed me around the house. The front door stuck when you tried to open it. The back door lock was broken completely. But when we walked around the house, I found something she didn't know about, a basement door on the side of the house. The basement was clean and bright. It had stairs that went right up to her kitchen. It was like a secret path into her home, a path that only I knew about because I'm the one who found it working on her house. Emma's eyes get smaller as she looks at me. I can see her trying to figure out if I'm making fun of her, if what I said was some kind of joke. Her hands make fists at her sides. "The basement?" she asks. I nod my head. "The basement door. On the side of your house. Remember? The one we found last week when I was checking the water pipes. It goes right up to your kitchen. Way easier than fighting with your front door every time." Her face changes. The red color starts to fade. Her mouth closes. She bends down to pick up her keys, and when she stands back up, she's almost smiling. Almost, but not quite. "Oh," she says. "That basement door." "Yeah, that one," I say. "If it's okay with you. I mean, I know it might seem weird coming through your basement every morning, but your front door still sticks really bad, and your back door doesn't lock right." She looks down at her shoes, then she looks back at me. This time she's really smiling. Not almost smiling, but really smiling. The kind of smile that makes me forget how to breathe right. "You scared me," she says, and then she laughs. It's a sweet sound that makes me want to hear it again. "I thought you were talking about something totally different. Now it's my turn to laugh. Sorry about that. I forget that not everyone thinks like a guy who fixes houses all day. To me, doors are just doors, ways to get from one place to another place." Emma opens her front door. It makes a loud sound as it sticks, just like always. She has to push hard to get it open all the way. When she finally gets it open, she looks back at me. "You know what?" she says. "I think I like your idea about the basement door better." Something in her voice makes me think she means more than just the door. Something that makes my heart beat fast again. But this time, it's a good kind of fast. The kind that happens when something nice is about to begin. Like this video, subscribe, and let me know where you are watching from. When I first walked up to Emma's house, I could see why she needed help. The blue paint was old and cracking. The front steps looked wobbly. The windows had tape over small cracks. But it was a good house with strong bones. Emma opened the front door before I could knock. She had to push hard to get it open. The door made a loud noise that sounded like it hurt. She smiled and said sorry about the noise. Her smile made me forget about the broken door. "I'm Jake," I said, holding out my hand. "Emma," she said back. When our hands touched for the first time, something warm moved up my arm. Her hand was soft but strong. She held on just a little longer than she needed to. She walked me around the house to show me what needed fixing. The list was long but not scary. Loose boards here, broken pipes there, walls that needed fresh paint. The kind of work that would keep me busy for weeks. The back door is worse than the front, she said, leading me around to the other side. She tried to turn the handle, but it wouldn't move. The lock broke last month. I can't get it to work at all. That's when I found the basement door. It was hidden behind some tall grass and old bushes. Emma didn't even know it was there. When I pushed the grass away, there was a clean white door with a shiny handle. "What's down there?" Emma asked, moving closer to look. I opened the door and found stairs going down to a bright, clean basement. The walls were white and dry. The floor was smooth concrete. At the far end, stairs went up to what looked like the kitchen door. "This goes right up to your house," I said, walking down the steps. My voice sounded different in the quiet space. Emma followed me down, staying close enough that I could smell her hair. It smelled like flowers and sunshine. When we got to the top of the other stairs, I opened the door. We were standing in her kitchen, right next to her coffee maker. Emma looked around like she'd never seen her own kitchen before. "I can't believe I didn't know about this," she said. "This is so much better than fighting with those other doors every day." The first week of work went fast. Every morning I came through the basement door like she said I could. "You don't have to make coffee for me every day," I told her on Thursday morning. "I know," she said, pouring herself a cup too. "I like doing it." We started drinking our coffee together each morning, before I began working. We talked about small things, the weather, the neighborhood, her job at the library downtown. But sometimes, our talks felt bigger than small things. During the second week, I started noticing things, like how Emma always found reasons to be near whatever room I was working in. She'd bring me water, or ask questions about what I was doing. But mostly, she'd just sit and watch me work. One afternoon, I was fixing a loose board on her kitchen floor. I looked up and caught her staring at me. Not just looking, but really staring, like she was trying to figure something out. When our eyes met, she looked away fast, and her face got red. "Sorry," she said, "I was just thinking." "About what?" I asked, still kneeling on the floor. She didn't answer right away. She played with her coffee cup and looked out the window. "Nothing important," she finally said. But her voice was quiet, like maybe it was more important than she wanted to tell me. The third week brought more moments like that. Little times when something felt different between us, like when she handed me a screwdriver and our fingers touched. She didn't pull away fast like before. Instead, she let her fingers stay there for a few extra seconds. Or when I was painting her living room wall and she came to help, she stood on a chair next to me to reach the high parts. Every time she moved, her arm brushed against mine. The first time she said sorry. After that, she stopped saying sorry. Friday of that third week, I was packing up my tools when Emma brought me a plate of food. Real food, not just coffee and cookies like usual. Chicken and rice and green beans that smelled amazing. "I made too much," she said. "You want some?" I looked at the food, then at her face. She was biting her lip like she did when she was nervous about something. The smart thing would be to say thank you, but no. The smart thing would be to go home and eat my own food. "That smells really good," I said instead. She smiled big. "Good, sit down, I'll get you a fork." I sat at her kitchen table and watched her move around getting plates and forks and more food. She looked happy, really happy, like having me stay for dinner was the best part of her day. But then my phone rang. Work emergency at another house. I had to go right away. The words "maybe another time" almost came out of my mouth. Almost. But I stopped myself before saying them. Instead, I just said thank you for the food, and for everything else. The look on her face told me she understood what I meant by everything else. The next morning, I walked around to Emma's basement door like always, but something was different. A small piece of paper was taped to the door with my name written on it. My hands shook a little as I pulled it off. "Good morning, Jake. Coffee is ready upstairs. Hope you have a great day, Emma." I stared at the note for a long time. Nobody had left me notes since I was a kid. The words were written in blue pen with small, neat letters. I folded it carefully and put it in my pocket before going downstairs. When I got to the kitchen, Emma was already there waiting. She had 2 cups of coffee on the table, and a shy smile on her face. She looked at my pocket where I put her note. "You didn't have to do that," I said, pulling out my coffee cup. "I wanted to," she said. "Did you like it?" The way she asked made my chest feel warm. Like my answer really mattered to her. Like maybe she stayed up last night thinking about writing that note. I sat down across from her at the small table. "I loved it," I said, and her smile got bigger. From that day on, the basement door became our special thing. Every morning, I'd walk down those steps knowing Emma was waiting upstairs. Sometimes she'd be in the kitchen making breakfast. Sometimes she'd be reading a book at the table. But she was always there. The notes kept coming too. Not every day, but enough to make me excited each morning. Little things like the weather looks nice today, or I bought new coffee. Tell me what you think. Once she wrote, you make this old house feel like home. I kept every single note in my toolbox. During lunch breaks, I'd take them out and read them again. Each one made me smile like the first time. Each one made me think about Emma in ways I probably shouldn't. By the fourth week, I noticed other things changing too. Mrs. Peterson from next door started watching me through the kitchen window. She'd stand there with her arms crossed, staring at me as I walked to Emma's basement door each morning. One day, she was outside watering her flowers when I arrived. She looked at me over her fence and said, "You sure spend a lot of time at Emma's house." "Just fixing things," I said, trying to sound normal. She said. But her eyes told me she thought I was fixing more than just broken doors and loose boards. The guy who lives across the street started paying attention too. Every morning when I parked my truck, he'd come out to get his mail. He'd watch me walk around to the side of Emma's house, then he'd shake his head like he disapproved of something. Emma noticed the watching too. One morning she looked out her kitchen window and saw Mrs. Peterson staring at us through her own window. "She does that every day now," Emma said, moving away from the window. "Her and half the neighborhood. They think we're up to something." "Are we?" I asked before I could stop myself. Emma's face got red. She looked down at her coffee cup and didn't answer right away. The silence stretched between us like a rubber band about to snap. I wanted to take the words back, but they were already out there. "I don't know," she finally whispered. "Maybe." That afternoon, dark clouds started moving in from the west. The air got heavy and still. I was working on Emma's bathroom sink when the first drops of rain hit the window. Then the drops became a real storm. Rain pounded on the roof above us. Lightning lit up the whole house bright white for a second, then left us in darkness again. Thunder followed right after, so loud it made the windows shake in their frames. "The power went out," Emma called from somewhere in the house. I finished what I was doing and went to find her. She was standing in the kitchen holding a flashlight. The rain was coming down so hard outside that I couldn't see her neighbor's house anymore. "Looks like I'm stuck here for a while," I said, looking out at the storm. "You could wait in the basement," Emma said, "until it stops." We went downstairs together with the flashlight. The basement felt different in the storm, quieter but also more alive somehow, like the whole house was breathing around us. Emma set the flashlight on a shelf, and soft light spread across the walls. "I like it down here," she said, sitting on the bottom step. "It feels safe." I sat down next to her, close enough to feel the warmth from her body, close enough to smell her hair again. The storm kept going above us, but down here, it felt like we were in our own little world. "Jake," she said, and something in her voice made me look at her face. She was already looking at me. Her eyes looked bigger in the soft light. Her lips were slightly open like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. My heart started beating faster. "Yeah?" I said, but my voice came out rougher than I meant it to. She moved a little closer. I could feel her breath on my face now, sweet and warm. Her hand moved toward mine on the step between us. Our fingers touched, then held on to each other. "I think," she started to say, but stopped. The space between us got smaller. I could count her eyelashes if I wanted to. I could see tiny gold flecks in her brown eyes. She tilted her head just a little, and I found myself moving closer too. This was it. The moment that had been building for weeks. The moment I'd been thinking about every night when I went home to my empty apartment. My eyes started to close. Then her phone rang upstairs, loud and sharp and impossible to ignore. We jumped apart like we'd been caught doing something wrong. The magic of the moment broke like glass hitting the floor. Emma's face went from soft and dreamy to surprised and embarrassed in 1 second. "I should get that," she said, standing up fast. "Yeah," I said, even though I wanted to tell her to let it ring. "You should." She grabbed the flashlight and ran upstairs, leaving me alone in the dark basement. I sat there listening to her footsteps above me, wondering what would have happened if that phone hadn't rang. 2 days after the storm, I was coming through Emma's basement door like always when I heard voices upstairs. Emma was talking to someone I didn't know. A woman's voice that sounded sharp and questioning. I decided to wait downstairs until her visitor left. But then I heard my name. "Who is this Jake guy anyway?" the woman asked. "Mrs. Peterson says he comes here every single day, through your basement, Emma. That's weird." "It's not weird," Emma said back. The other doors don't work right. The basement door is easier for him to use. Every day, though? For weeks? Come on, Emma. What's really going on here? I stood frozen on the basement steps. This woman thought Emma and I were doing things we weren't doing. My face got hot just thinking about what she might be thinking. Nothing is going on, Emma said, but her voice sounded less sure than before. Right, the woman said. A cute guy comes to your house every day, sneaks through your basement, and you expect me to believe nothing is happening? Emma, you're my best friend. You can tell me the truth. Lisa, it's really not like that, Emma said. But even as she said it, I could hear doubt in her voice. Like maybe she was starting to wonder the same things her friend was wondering. Like maybe she was seeing our morning coffee and basement door routine differently now. Look, Lisa said. I'm not judging you, I'm just worried. If you're going to have a secret relationship, at least be safe about it, and maybe don't let the whole neighborhood watch him sneak in and out. He doesn't sneak, Emma said quickly. He just comes through the basement because it's easier. Emma, Lisa said, and her voice got softer. Listen to yourself. A man comes through your basement every day. You make him coffee. You leave him little notes. You light up every time someone mentions his name. If that's not a relationship, what is it? The house got quiet. I could hear my own heart beating in my chest. Emma didn't answer her friend's question right away, and that silence told me everything. I need to think, Emma finally said. Just be careful, okay, Lisa said, and maybe talk to him about what you both want, before the neighbors start more rumors. I heard footsteps, and then the front door opening and closing. The house got quiet again. I stood on those basement steps for a long time, not sure what to do. Should I go upstairs like nothing happened? Should I leave and come back tomorrow? Before I could decide, Emma called down to me. Jake, I know you're down there. Can you come up, please? My legs felt heavy as I walked up the steps. Emma was standing in her kitchen with her arms crossed over her chest. Her face looked serious and a little scared, like she was about to ask me something she wasn't sure she wanted to know the answer to. How much of that did you hear? She asked. Most of it, I said, because lying seemed worse than the truth. She nodded and looked down at her hands. Lisa thinks we're, she thinks there's something going on between us. Is there? I asked, the same question I'd asked her during the storm. Emma looked up at me. Her eyes were wide and uncertain. I don't know, maybe. I think so. I'm confused, Jake. She walked over to the kitchen table and sat down. I sat across from her, the same seats we took every morning for coffee, but this time felt different, heavier. Can I ask you something? She said. Of course. She took a deep breath, like she was getting ready to jump off a high dive. Why do you really prefer coming through the basement? I mean the real reason. This was it. The question I knew was coming but hoped never would. I looked at her face, trying to figure out what she wanted to hear. The truth, or something easier. I opened my mouth to give her an easy answer. Something about broken doors and convenience. But when I saw her eyes, I knew she deserved better than that. Because I said, then stopped. The next words felt too big and too true to say out loud. Because why? She asked softly. Because when I come through your basement, it feels like I belong here, I said, the words coming out in a rush. When I use your front door, I feel like a visitor, like someone who's just passing through. But the basement feels different. Emma's face changed as I talked. The worried look started to fade away. It feels more personal, I continued. More private. Like you're letting me into a part of your life that other people don't get to see. Like I'm not just the guy who fixes your house. Like maybe I'm something more. Jake, she whispered. I know that probably sounds crazy, I said quickly. I know it's just a door, just a way to get from outside to inside. But to me it means something bigger. Emma stood up from her chair and walked around the table to where I was sitting. She stopped right in front of me, close enough that I had to look up to see her face. It doesn't sound crazy, she said. It sounds perfect. She reached out and touched my face with her hand. Her palm was warm against my cheek. I closed my eyes and leaned into her touch. Emma, I said. I know, she said. When I opened my eyes, she was leaning down toward me. This time, no phone would ring. No storm would interrupt us. This time, nothing would stop what was about to happen. Our lips met soft and gentle at first, like we were both afraid the other might disappear. But when Emma's arms went around my neck, the kiss became something deeper, something that tasted like coffee and felt like coming home. When we finally pulled apart, Emma rested her forehead against mine. I've been wanting to do that for weeks, she whispered. Me too, I whispered back. And for the first time since I started coming through her basement door, I felt like I really truly belonged there. After our first kiss, Emma and I just stood there in her kitchen holding each other. Neither of us wanted to move or talk or break the quiet magic of the moment. Her head was on my chest, and I could feel her breathing slow and steady. "So what happens now?" she asked into my shirt. I looked around her kitchen, the same kitchen I'd walked into every morning for weeks. But now it felt completely different. Now it felt like maybe it could be our kitchen instead of just hers. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I'd like to find out." Emma pulled back to look at my face. Her eyes were bright and happy, like she'd been carrying a heavy secret, and finally got to put it down. She smiled that smile that made me forget how to breathe right. "I have an idea," she said. "How about we make dinner together? Real dinner this time. No work emergencies to run off to." "I'd love that," I said. Emma opened her refrigerator and started pulling out food. Chicken, vegetables, rice, things that would make a real meal. I watched her move around the kitchen like she'd done this 100 times before. Like cooking dinner with me was the most natural thing in the world. "Can you cut these carrots?" she asked, handing me a knife and some orange vegetables. I started cutting while Emma got a pan ready on the stove. We worked together without talking much, but it felt comfortable, easy, like we'd been cooking together for years instead of minutes. "Jake," Emma said while stirring something that smelled amazing, "about the basement door." My hands stopped moving. Here it comes, I thought. Now she's going to tell me that her friend Lisa was right, that it's weird and I should start using the front door like a normal person. "What about it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I want it to stay your entrance," she said, not looking at me. "I mean, if you want it to be. I know it sounds silly, but I love that you have your own way into my house, your own special way that's just yours." Relief flooded through my body like warm water. "Really? Really?" she said, turning to face me. "I love hearing your footsteps coming up from downstairs every morning. I love knowing you're here before I even see you. It makes this house feel less empty." "It makes me feel less empty too," I said. Emma smiled and went back to cooking. I finished with the carrots and moved to stand behind her at the stove. I put my arms around her waist while she cooked, and she leaned back against my chest. "This feels nice," she said quietly. "Yeah, it does." We ate dinner at her small kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared coffee every morning. But tonight felt different. Tonight we talked about things that mattered, about what we both wanted from life, about dreams we'd never told anyone else. "I always thought I'd be alone in this house," Emma said, playing with her food. "When I bought it, I thought it would just be me and my books and my garden." "And now?" I asked. "Now I think maybe it could be different," she said, looking at me across the table. "Maybe it could be better." After dinner we washed dishes together. Emma washed, I dried. Simple work that felt important somehow. Like we were building something together, one clean plate at a time. "I should probably head home," I said when the last dish was dry. But I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay in this warm kitchen with Emma forever. "Wait," Emma said. She opened a drawer and pulled out something small and shiny. "A key. I made this for you last week, before I knew what it meant, before I understood why." She held out a copy of her basement door key. It was small and silver and perfect. I took it from her hand, and our fingers touched as she let go. "Are you sure?" I asked. "I've never been more sure of anything," she said. I added the key to my keychain right there in her kitchen. It looked right next to my truck keys and house keys, like it belonged there, like it had been waiting to join them all along. "Thank you," I said, and kissed her forehead. "Thank you for making this house feel like home," she said back. The next morning, I used Emma's basement door key for the first time. It turned smooth and easy in the lock. I walked down the familiar steps and up the other side to her kitchen, just like always. But this time, Emma was waiting for me at the top of the stairs. This time, she kissed me good morning, before I even got to the kitchen. This time, everything was different and perfect and exactly how it was supposed to be. "Coffee?" she asked, like she did every morning. "Always," I said, like I always did. But now those words meant something bigger. Now they meant every morning, for as long as she'd have me. Now they meant this basement door would always be mine, and this kitchen would always welcome me home. Months later, when people ask Emma how we got together, she tells them about her broken doors and my preference for basements. She tells them it was the most romantic thing anyone ever said to her. She tells them some entrances are worth more than others. And every morning, I still come through that basement door. Every morning, I still hear my own footsteps on those stairs. Every morning, I still feel that same warm feeling of belonging somewhere special. The neighbors stopped watching eventually. They got used to seeing my truck parked outside Emma's house. They got used to the idea that sometimes the best way into someone's life is through the back way, the quiet way, the way that feels like home. Emma still leaves me notes sometimes. Now they say things like, "Good morning, handsome," or "Don't forget we're having dinner with your mom tonight." But I still keep them all. I still read them during lunch breaks, and smile like the first time. Because some things are too good to ever get old. Some entrances are too special to ever become ordinary. Like this video, subscribe and let me know, do you have a special entrance or place that means something to you and someone special?